So in this Angling Direct Quick Bite, we are taking a look at pellet wagglers, and more importantly, what one should you be using for the situation you're fishing, because it seems very simple, but a lot of people might just have one or two wagglers and expect it to do everything. Now, within reason, there's one float that does do most things, which I'll come on to shortly, but there's definitely a thing about picking the right waggler and catching more fish. So hopefully in this short video, I can put that into practice for you and explain what we're going to be using. So let's start off with what I just touched on, is the fact that if you aren't so, let's say, serious in your fishing and you're not like a big match and you just want one float to do everything, then for me, I would use a foam pellet waggler. They probably cover 80% of my fishing, let's say, and I use these an awful lot. So a foam pellet waggler, very, very easy to attach with a weight at the bottom onto a waggler attachment, super simple to use. And the best thing about foam wagglers is they don't really dive. So lots of time with waggler fishing, you're catching on the splash, which is after you've cast in, you're getting very quick bites and you want your float to register straight away, and that's what foam pellet wagglers do. So then all you need to think about really is the weight that you're using. So if you're fishing like we are today, there's lots of fish cruising around, I'd be using a little tiny 3-gram waggler, making no noise, plop it in front of them and then try it like that. But if I want to go a little bit further, you could then up it. You know, they do 4 gram, they do 5 gram, 6 gram, depending on what company you're going for. There's all sorts of sizes. So if you wanted a general all-round float, as long as you're thinking about the weight that you're using, then a foam pellet waggler is going to do the job. Now for me, one of the only really other wagglers I use is a standard sort of balsa style pellet waggler. And these are slightly different in the way that I would use them. So they're generally a lot bigger, they're generally a lot heavier. So what they're going to allow me to do is they're going to allow me to cast a lot further and fish accurately at range. So if I was feeding lots of bait, big 8 mils, 11 mils, perhaps at places like Boddington's or something like that, then I would want a waggler that's really stable. I'm fishing a little bit deeper. I'm not trying to plop it in front of fish like we are today. And these are perfect for it. You know, they're going to sit there in a crosswind, really stable, fire loads of bait on them, and that's the waggler I would use for that. So a much more positive, loaded balsa style waggler. There's only 2 little options really, is the size and thickness of them. So some of them you can get are quite thick, great for big carp and stuff like that. You can get other thinner ones. You look at the difference in these two here, you can get thinner ones. If I was targeting F1s or something like that, then I would use a thinner waggler. But these sort of styles are definitely ones to use when you cast them further, fishing a bit deeper, and you're trying to feed and catch them that way. And the only other wagglers I would like to give a quick mention to is the clear wagglers. Now I'll be honest, personally I don't really use them, but I know there's a lot of people out there who fish venues where the fish are very shy of the float, and if you feel a clear waggler is just a little bit less obtrusive, then that's your option as well. And they do them in different sizes, so you've got your smaller ones for casting at fish like we were talking about, right up to big 10, 12 gram clear ones. So if a clear waggler is for you, if it just gives you that confidence in your head that you feel like it's going to make a difference, then those are the ones to try. So you can see there with just a small selection of wagglers in my hand, there is some that do very vast amounts of your fishing, 8% of it, but it's definitely worth having a little selection just to make sure you're using the right float on the right situation. I promise you it will catch more fish, and it's definitely worth a think about. So if you want to know what floats I use, what I'll do in the description, I'll pop a link down to a few that we've got here, and you can get yourself kitted out to make sure you've got a waggler for every single scenario.